Right, just a quick one. So I'm going to make this brief, but hopefully it may give some illumination to people. Excuse the pun. Right, so I want to explain an issue that I've been getting a lot of comments about on the channel, and it is the Rofis TC1. Now, if you remember the review that I did, I quite enjoyed this light. I loved the fact that they'd done something different with the design. I really liked the fact that they'd put what I would consider a capacitive touch function on the outside. I like the design, small, neat. Yes, I would prefer longer run times, but at this size you're not going to get that, and it had a sensible step down, so I really liked it. I didn't understand why it came in what I would describe as an aspirin box, but never mind. I liked it. Unfortunately, I've been hearing bad things about the battery, so let me explain. So I've got two here which I've been using to test. So if you bear with me a second, I shall just show you some of the comments. So here's the first one. So someone's put, now this is on a external site, this isn't on my channel. So it's got, it's by XXX man, so I presume he likes pornography, but we'll move on from that point. So XXX man has put, interesting torch, unusual but interesting. Well, I agree with that. Perfect mechanical design. Yes, it is nice. Highlight output. It was delivered. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so moving on. He says that it was delivered with a fully discharged battery. Now, I don't think it was discharged. I think it's just ran out in the shipping, and you'll find out more about that later. So he's put here. He said the flashlight was blown for after a week. It was completely discharged. So it looks like the batteries on these things are failing what I would consider massively prematurely for the size of battery, especially if you're not using them anyway. And he goes on to say the flashlight must be recharged after 3 days. I mean, after 3 days. Now, I don't know what sort of usage he's using, but that's ridiculous, especially if that's just on a standby anyway. It is a shame, otherwise it is a great lamp, but due to the need for frequent charging, it is unusable. And I agree, the whole point of a flashlight is you should be able to rely on it in an emergency. If you have to worry about, well, in the case of that guy there, charging this every 3 days, it is not fit for purpose, I would say. So I'll go on to another complaint that I've noticed. So if I move on to a comment which I've had on the channel, and now this was in regards to talk about this flashlight, and this guy's put, yup, have the same problem with the TC1. The touch sensor is draining the battery, I think. And I think he may have pointed us in the direction of where the issue may be, because most of these flashlights are a very similar design. The only thing different about this one is this capacitive touch, and I think that's probably where some of the issue is. But again, due to my testing, I think there are other matters at play, but we'll go into that. So the next one, now this was off the channel as well. So Boosted Laser has put, all I hear is how these Rofis are DOA, he means dead on arrival, or they die in 7 to 30 days. Have any issues? Well, yes, I do after the testing, and I'm sure other people seem to be having these. So moving on again to the next one. Kostin Mahai Muskara says, well, this reminds me, I've just got mine out about a week ago, fully charged it, and 2 days ago the battery was flat, so very disappointing idle runtime. So I agree with that. If I need to charge it every 5 days or so, this is not a good EDC light. It is going to be dead whenever you'll be needing to use it. I completely agree there. For this tiny 10180, he's on about the battery size there and the form factor. The idle drain seems to be too much. I totally agree. So without a real physical lockout, it seems it is useless. And I agree with him. He's completely right there. And then if we move on to the next one, it's Thanzil Ahmed Patel. I think he's a guy from India. I've spoken to him a few times. And again on the channel, he's put, hello friend, I bought Rofis TC1. I need to ask some doubt. I think he means ask a question. When I switch off the light for a week with lock system, so he means the E-lock, the electronic lock in place, when I turn on after 1 week, it doesn't switch on until I charge it. What is the problem? Right. Well, I could go through many more comments like that, but I won't bore you. So this is what I did. So I decided, right, I've got two of them. I've got a brand new one and a one which I'd used for my reviews, and I've used Rofis's own cable. So this is the test that I did. I think, well, I initially thought it must be that the electronic lockout, there must be some sort of parasitic drain in the fact that this electronic lockout isn't fully, it's either not using a trickle amount of charge or is using a massive amount to do its job. Bearing in mind, these are 10180 batteries in here. You can't change it. See, it opens for charging, but you can't actually change the battery. There's no, unless you rip it to bits. So just as an example, here's the Claris Mini one. This uses a 10180. I haven't charged this for about a month and a half, and surprise, surprise, no problems, works every time. The battery isn't going down. So you can't blame the size. So just to show you, a 10180 is rather small. So in my hand, there's the 10180. Very, very small cell there. But capable enough for something like a keychain light. So I'm a little bit disappointed by Rofis here. So I'll explain the methodology I used for the test. So using their own cable, I charged both of them fully. I then took one of them and I left it unlocked and I placed it in a room. I then took the second one and engaged the electronic lockout. I put them together in the same temperature in the same room, and at 5 o'clock every day without fail I attempted to turn them on and then quickly turn them off so as not to use much of the juice. So if they worked, they went straight off. So this is what I found. Here are the results. And just to prove these are different ones, there's the model number there, and underneath is the serial number. So that is a 969 if my eyes are correct, and this is 999. So if you're in the UK, that's what you ring for the police. So totally different. So this is what happened. It went on and on. That's why it's taken me so long to get on with this. I have genuinely done a test because I wanted to see for myself. So it went on and on and on. So the locked one, sorry, there's this one. So the locked one, after 15 days, the battery failed. Okay. Now, strangely enough, the unlocked one, the battery died in 26 days. 26 days is still rubbish, and I'm not happy with that. However, it's interesting that there is a difference between locking it and unlocking it. It's, you know, it's certainly not double, but it's getting close to double the amount of idle time, which is very interesting, isn't it? It's almost as if the lock just exasperates an issue that's already there. So if you do own this, you may want to not use the lock function, which is stupid because you're buying it on the pretext that it has these functions, and they should be able to carry those out, and that's unacceptable in my opinion. So those were the results. So what did I do? Right, well, what I did was I fired off an email to Rofis, and I waited rather a long time for a reply, but I won't whinge too much because they did reply eventually. So if you bear with me a few seconds, I'll read you what they replied with. Right, so here's my email. Now, I did explain to them that I was making a YouTube video, and I wanted to get their side of the story because it's very easy to make a video saying Rofis are useless, I hate them, they're scum of the earth, and how dare they do this, rubbish. That's a very easy thing to do, but it's a little bit harder to go to them and say, okay, what's your side of the story? So on the email I sent them, I explained the issues of loss of power, and they eventually got back to me after a rather long time, but I'm happy they did. So I'll read out the reply from service@rofislight.com. So the reply was, hi, we are sorry, which is nice to hear. Please try charging for about 2 minutes. Right, okay. If the flashlight does not respond, please provide us with the relevant video and we'll replace it for you. Here's the issue I have here. This sounds like the runaround. You get this sort of runaround with some manufacturers where they say, I don't believe you that this flashlight doesn't work. Film yourself, you know, in a pair of swimming trunks, turning things on and off and wearing a hat and things. Look, if you're going to produce something and there's an issue, there should be a no quibble return. If it doesn't work, replace it. And it goes a long way to give goodwill towards flashlight buyers. Okay, so moving on from that, so in this 2 minute rubbish, try charging for 2 minutes, they're almost trying to say, well, is the battery not working at all? But it's not the fact that the battery doesn't work. It does work. It works substandardly. and it gets worse with lockout enabled, which is ridiculous. So they then go on to say, we'll replace it with thank you, exclamation mark. I don't know why that's there. So essentially the reply is, have you tried charging it? Well, yes, we have tried charging it. That's not the issue. The issue is the longevity of the amount of battery cell juice. And then to say that if it doesn't respond, send it back. Well, it's the quality of the light, not the fact that it is or isn't functioning as a binary problem. It either works or it doesn't. It seems different for different people. I mean, that could be the age of the unit that people have used, or it could be the temperature of the country where they live. That certainly has an effect on battery levels and capacities. But I just think it's not good enough. I appreciate that they did reply, but I'm not very happy. I did also make some forum posts about this and get other people's views on it. I'm not going to bore you by reading all of them out, but their thoughts were mirror images of what I got elsewhere, where people said, yes, I've got an issue, it's not good enough, the battery doesn't last, what's the point of a flashlight if the battery doesn't last? So there you go. So all I can say is, if you own this, there's a chance they may replace it, but it almost seemed from the email that they would only replace it if it didn't function at all. If it turns on, they may say, well, it turns on, we can't guarantee how long the battery should last. But I think that's wrong, because like I say, the Claris Mini one uses exactly the same battery and it doesn't have any of these problems. So I think that could be an issue. If the problem is there's a substandard battery or there's a parasitic drain, I think if that's true, I think Rofis should say, I'm very sorry, if anyone has this issue, please return it and we'll send you one that does work. Because at this point, I don't know what to say. All I can say is, until you hear otherwise, I can't, hand on heart, recommend buying one of these. I simply can't, because it doesn't live up to the expectations of the buyer, and I think that's a little bit naughty. Okay, so I'm just giving you this information and you can do what you want. And if you do have a problem, or you've contacted them, or you have any other information, could you please put it in the comments section? Let's try and help each other in the flashlight community here. I always try and help people, and the more information we've got, the better it is for everybody. Even if you just want to put a comment saying, you know, I drop kicked mine into a river because I'm sick of it, at least people know that someone else is in the same boat as them. So if you can stick a comment in. But for everyone else, I do apologize. I did give this a good mark, but I wasn't able to do the level of testing where I was waiting a month to see if the battery ran out. So my apologies for that, but that's not the level of testing I go into. I carry these for a week to 2 weeks at a time, and then I give it an honest review. So that's enough of that. So let's get rid of this. I'm going to go for a coffee, and I've had quite enough of flashlights today, especially when they're mucking around with batteries like that.